Hello, everyone. I'm Reverend Jack Fowler, and I'm so glad to be sharing music with you today with my wonderful friend, Reverend D. And we know that God is in everything, no matter what we see and everything, for we know that God is life and God is in everything that we see. I see joy, I see peace, I see goodness surrounding me. I see love in every breath I breathe. I see God in everything. And I see happiness, I see freedom. I see the beauty that lives in me. I see perfection in what life brings. I see God in everything. I feel joy, I feel peace, I feel goodness surrounding me. I feel love in every breath I breathe. I feel God in everything. I feel happiness, I feel freedom. I feel the beauty that lives in me. I feel perfection in what life brings. I feel God in everything. I choose joy, I choose peace, I choose goodness surrounding me. I choose love in every breath I breathe. I choose God in everything. And I choose happiness, I choose freedom. I choose the beauty that lives in me. I choose perfection in what life brings. I choose God in everything. I know joy, I know peace, I know goodness, it surrounds me. I know there's love in every breath I breathe. I know God's in everything, and I know happiness, I know freedom, I know the beauty that lives in me. I know perfections in what life brings. I know God's in everything. Yes, I know God. This one presence, this one life, this one power is in everything. Ooh. Ooh.
Thank you. Thank you. That's Mr. Jack Fowler coming to us from New Orleans. Thank you for that beautiful musical invocation. Everybody take a breath and welcome. Welcome to Inner Light Ministries, our virtual Sunday offering. I am Reverend Deborah Johnson, also known of as Rev D. So regardless of where you are, regardless of the place that you were in, the time of day or year, or how long it's been since this actually initially aired and when you're tuning into it, I know it's the right time. I know it's the right time. So welcome. We're glad to be in spiritual community with you. There truly is only one of us here. Let's just breathe that in. At Inner Light Ministries, we are about transformation. We are about healing through the energy of love and the revealing of our own inner light. We embody spiritual oneness. We appreciate individualized expressions, and we honor all paths that lead to spiritual truth, all paths that lead to environmental sustainability, all paths that lead to social justice. You know, you can't put the divine in a box. Not everybody, quote unquote, goes to church. It's not a requirement. You can commune and speak to the divine whenever, wherever. And we're glad that we're choosing this as one of the places that you get your spiritual nurturance from. We offer tools for living. We offer tools for living that encourage the practical application of universal spiritual principles to all of life's circumstances. We are not here about specific traditions, just specific doctrines or creeds, because the truth is everywhere. It's everywhere. It predates any particular religious perspective. And we're about not just learning those things, not just being able to recite them or to memorize them, but to use them. Okay? So when you're listening here, be thinking, well, what does this mean? What would this mean for all areas of my life? What would this mean for my health? What would this mean for my wealth? What for my finances? What about my relationships, my career, my spiritual community? What would this mean for the body politic? What would this mean for global affairs? What would this mean for the environment? Okay, the practical application to all of life's circumstances. So you'll find me often jumping back and forth from examples, from micro personal to macro, interpersonal, or global. And it's to get you to see the practicality and to encourage you to use these principles everywhere. So one of the tools that we offer every week are affirmative activations. These are 100 words, exactly 100 words. 100 words designed to change your life, to change your thinking, to change your heart, to set our path, to set our feet on the path that moves us into closer and closer alignment with the divine and the truth of who we really are as spiritual beings. Like any tool, it's only as good as how often you use it, how familiar you become with it, and how proficient you are with it. So as we go over the affirmations together here, it's just a sampler. So I invite you to come back, go to the website, check out our, listen to this again. Put yourself in a position where you can repeat these, so whether you can share these and let them find a resting place in your heart. See, first the roots, then the fruits. We have to plant the seeds before we're able to enjoy the benefit that comes out of them. So if you are at all able to, I want to encourage you to actually say the affirmations with us right now as they appear on your screen. And our topic today is love casts out fear. I open wide the floodgates of my heart. I am cloaked in the warmth of divine love. Love melts the icy places within me. Love lifts. Love embraces. Love heals. I have no fear of loving, for love casts out all fear. I have the courage to expand beyond my comfort zones. I have the fortitude to keep showing up, never withholding my gifts. Releasing emotional debris, forgiveness flows through me. There's reciprocity in my giving and receiving. I allow myself to be cared for and supported. I appreciate the strength of vulnerability. I always rise to the occasion. Just breathe that in. And I'm going to invite Jack Fowler to come back and give us a little musical offering just to help cultivate that soil of our consciousness so that we're fertile for the message.
Thank you, Reverend Deborah. One of the most powerful quotes I've ever heard was by Rumi when he said, "Enough with such questions. All of your talk is worthless when compared to one whisper of God from the silence." In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world full of chaos and noise. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said, and right here in this holy silence I find God, I find myself. In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world full of chaos and noise. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said, and right here in this holy silence I find God, I find myself. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear could never be said and right here in this holy silence. I find God. I find God. I find myself.
Just breathe that in. Thank you, Jack. Just breathe it in. We're talking today about how love casts out fear. That love casts out fear. The only thing that ever needs to be healed is just a sense of separation. That's all that it is. It's just a sense of separation. I don't care what it is, whether it's something at the personal level, whether it's at the global level, just a sense of separation. That there's something, some good. It could be anything. It could be safety. It could be abundance, prosperity. It could be health. It could be creativity. It could be self-determination. Like any of these things. But when you look around the world and you look at the dastardly things that people have done and all that, it is because they are experiencing a sense of separation. They do not know that they are one with the only thing that is. Because they do not know that they are one with the only thing that is, they're busy trying to fill that kind of existential gap with people, places, and things. Okay? So what we see that's quote unquote evil out there is not a measure of people's goodness or badness. It's a measure of their awareness versus their ignorance. How much do they know that they are one with the only thing that is? Because when you know that, you show up differently. When you know that the other people are also one with the only thing that is, you treat them differently. When you realize that the earth is a living being, a pure representation of the divine, then you don't abuse her. Okay, really listen to what I'm saying. That hurt and harm comes when there's separation. Hurt and harm comes when there's a lack of recognition that whatever this is that you're hurting or harming is part of the divine. That whatever this is that you're hurting or harming is a part of you and like yourself. Okay? There's no evil in the world outside a human being. No evil. So whenever we get into that sense of separation, we're getting into fear. We're getting into fear. So here's part of the problem with this, is that when we get into fear, most often our attention is going to the catalyst. That the catalyst is something that comes along and that triggers whatever this is that becomes our perception, or that triggers whatever it is that happens. It's not the cause. The cause is usually something deeper. But the catalyst, that sort of proverbial straw that broke the camel's back, like that one thing that tweaked it and made it happen. When we get into fear, we are busy looking at the obstructions. When we get into fear, we're busy looking at the things that we think can go wrong, or the things that can hurt us, the things that can stand in our way. But what we lose sight of when we get into fear is, what is the thing that we're actually wanting? Listen to what I'm saying. When we become too fearful about whatever the cancer in our body, we forget. We forget the health. We forget that. When we become too worried about our financial situation, and we're fearing loss of job, we're fearing eviction, we're fearing all the rest of that, we quit remembering the prosperity. We quit remembering the abundance. We can't remember. We quit remembering God as our ultimate provider. Okay. So when we don't remember it, we feel separate from it. We feel separate from it. So there's a way that fear eclipses. It doesn't wipe anything out, but it eclipses it so that our attention is riveted on what we think is going to take us into separation, when our attention needs to be on what is it that we're going to feel separate from. This is what I'm saying. Where's your attention going to go? Is your attention going to go with the fear that this thing is going to pull me out of health? Or am I going to go with my attention riveted on health and magnifying the health? Is my attention going to go on the arguments, the conflicts, the infidelities, whatever that is, that I think is going to ruin my relationship, my primary romantic relationship? Or am I really tuning in to the oneness, the togetherness, the support, the mutual caring? Is my attention focused there? Really listen to what I'm saying. No amount of attention constantly on the disease is ever going to bring forth health. No constant focus of attention on the lack of harmony in the relationship, the conflict, the antagonism, whether this is a one-on-one relationship or whether it's a global relationship, politics or international affairs, same principles, same stuff. That just focusing on the things that are rubbing you wrong up against each other is never going to bring forth the peace. It's not going to happen. Love casts out fear, as it says in Scripture. This love that I'm talking about, in Scripture, it's the Greek word agapeo. Okay, this is not an emotion. This is not the phileo love of kinship. This is not the platonic love of friendship. This is not the eros love of romance. This agapeo love is a choice love. It is a will love. It is a volition. It is a direction of the will. This is the interconnected love, the transcendent love. This is the love that the divine has for each and every one of us. And we get to choose on a moment to moment, not even a daily, a moment to moment basis, whether we identify with it, whether we believe ourselves to be a part of it, whether we see through its lens, and whether it is the ground upon which we stand. Okay. So this love, Gandhi referred to it as a soul force. It's a soul force. This is a choice love. This is, I choose to stay connected with you, not because I like you. I choose to stay connected with you in spite of the fact that I don't like you. Martin Luther King Jr. Said it well. You know, when Dr. King said, I'm so glad that Jesus didn't say, like your neighbor, because it's kind of hard to like somebody who's bombing your house. This isn't about liking. This is about loving from a oneness perspective. Just breathe this in for a moment. So we have this choice at every moment. What are we going to nurture? Are we going to nurture the fears, the things, and make God out of the people, places, and things that we think are going to get in the way? Are we going to worship it? And we worship it if we give it our undue attention. We worship it if we make a God out of it. We make a God out of anything that we allow to define our potential and our possibility. So are we going to worship fear, basically? Or are we going to worship the divine? Are we going to worship the transcendent? Are we going to love? Are we going to stay connected to that infinite power, that presence that is sovereign over everything? Will that be our starting place? Love casts out all fear. Now, in actuality, from a kind of conceptual standpoint, sometimes when we get into that idea of casting out, we think of like you can actually gather something and throw it out the window. Or you can gather something and you can push it out the door. Everything's energy, okay? And fear really isn't so much like that. But there's an analogy that I can make here that might help to kind of drive the point home. That fear and love, in this instance, and love casting out the fear, can be likened to darkness and light. Darkness and light. Contrary to popular belief, they are not opposites. They are just gradations along a continuum. So when it appears that there's darkness, it's just because it's a lower vibration of light that's shining. You can't make darkness. You can't manufacture it. If the room is dark, it isn't because you walked darkness into the room. The only way the room is dark is if light has been retracted. Listen to what I'm saying. It's if light has been retracted. Okay. Fear doesn't just show up. You can't just walk fear into the door. Like you can't walk darkness into the door. That if there's fear, it's because the light is too dim. It's because the light of love is too dim. And just like the only way you get out of the darkness is to introduce the light, The only way you get out of the fear is to introduce the love. Okay? I'm going to do something here I've never done before, but I'm going to do it because I think the experience of it will help to really make the point. Okay? So, what I'm going to do now is one by one, I'm going to cut off some of the lights in this room. Okay? So, I'm going to cut this one off first. And you can see it's a little bit darker now. Okay. So this would be kind of like step one in this, where I'm looking at fear and there's something over there and it's getting my attention and then it's getting my attention. And because it's getting my attention, I'm feeling more separate. Love is that connector that connects me to everything. But this fear is pulling my attention away from the connector. And the more that it pulls my attention away, guess what? It gets a little darker. Okay. I'm in a little bit more fear. I'm in a little bit more fear because I'm not letting enough love in. I'm not letting enough love in. I'm not believing in possibility. I'm not believing in connection. And the more that I dwell in this fear, and the more I dwell in this fear, guess what happens? Wow. And this is what it feels like when we're in the fear. We can't cast this out. Okay. I can't gather the darkness and throw it out the door. I can't gather up the fear and throw it out the door. Now, it's this interesting thing. If you were to light a candle, okay, just a little bitty candle, you may think, well, what can the light of a single candle do? But the darker the room is, the greater the luminosity from the slightest amount of light. Okay, so that little candle will actually do more the darker the room. Seems kind of counterintuitive. All this darkness, what is a little bit of light going to do? The smallest amount of light, the darker it is, makes the bigger difference. How do we get out of the fear? The same way you get out of the darkness. You start turning on a little bit of light. You start introducing a little bit of love. Maybe you start saying some prayers. Maybe you start saying a little bit of affirmation. You know, you said, then your heart space expands. Your heart space expands. And then you bring in a little bit more light with a little bit more love. Wow. You're not in quite as much fear. Your attention is less on the fear. You start grooving off the love. You start grooving off the light. Then you pump it up a little bit more. This is the power of love in your life. It works this way. The darkness dissipates. To dissipate, kind of like what happens when there's fog. You can't duke it out with the fog. You can't fight the fog. You can't fight the darkness. The fog dissipates. When the heat comes in of the sun, the fog clears out. It's the same way that when you're in the fear, there's nothing you can do with the fear to get rid of the fear. Talking about it won't get it out. Dragging other people in there with you won't get it out. There's no armor to get it out. There's no machinery you can't bomb it out. The only way is just like what we did in this room right now. You have to introduce light, more and more light. This is true about anything you are afraid of. Anything. If you're afraid about your health and you're fearing cancer, you're fearing some disease, it's the exact same thing. You have to entertain the idea of more health. You got to keep introducing more and more health, whatever, in your exercise, in your diet, like in your routine, in your thoughts, in your rehabilitation exercises, like whatever that is, you have to keep moving in that direction. So this love casting out the fear, this love dissipating the darkness, it does it across the board. Listen to what I'm saying. That when you introduce the love into your life, let's say now it's people, as an example, okay? You're fearing these people for whatever the reason is. You're fearing them politically, you're fearing them, perhaps it's family stuff. You know, we're coming up on Thanksgiving in a few days. It could be trauma stuff from your past. It could be something you're afraid that they're going to do in the future where you don't trust them and you're concerned about what they're going to do. Like whatever it is that is. Okay. That fear makes you disconnect. Okay. That fear dims your light. Okay. Now there's less light in the entire relationship. But listen, when you dim that light down to protect yourself from them, okay, it may feel like a wall or a barrier that you're putting up so that they can't get to you, but you're also not getting out to them. Okay? So they're not experiencing your love. You're not experiencing their hurt, but then they don't get to experience your love. Well, see, that works both ways. Because when you put that wall up, you don't experience their love either. You're being in fear, retracting your light makes less light in the whole relationship. Just as we demonstrated a moment ago in the room, if we're both in the room and I start retracting light, that winds up impacting all of us. Okay, if I introduce more light, then we all get a little bit brighter. You have control over you. You have control over your light. You have control over the amount of darkness that you're in or the amount of fear that you're putting out. You get to control that. Isn't that wonderful? So, unlike just a physical room, there's our spiritual space. So that you could be in a room with a whole bunch of other people in fear, but all around you is a glow. All around you is light. Isn't that amazing? That you don't have to dial up or dial down according to anybody else. You've got your own gauge. You can be as bright as you want to be. Bam. But there is a little caveat here. Everybody isn't always happy with the light. I'm just saying. If you've been in the darkness, what ends up happening is that your eyesight gets acclimated. When you first go into the dark, you can't see anything. But then your eyes get adjusted and slowly adjusted and slowly adjusted. Okay? It also works in reverse. If you've been in darkness a long time, a blast of light is blinding. Like, oh, I can't stand it. I don't even want to see it. Your eyes have to get acclimated to it. Okay, you have to grow into the light. So you coming around with a bunch of light may not always be appreciated. Okay, it's like flicking on the light in the middle of people's movies. there's a movie going on. It's not even real. It's just reflections of light. And people are crying and they're laughing and they're scared. And nothing even going on. Okay. And that's kind of how it is with light. It's as though we're all in the movie theater and we're getting fixated on our own projections and reflections that are on our screens of life. Wake up. Wake up. You don't have to go for an Oscar in somebody else's movie. You don't have to go for an Oscar in films you don't even want to see. Turn on the light. Turn on the light. The more light there is, the more that stuff dissipates. It dissipates. But that has to be your choice. And when your light shines, it just shines. Like it says in scripture, the way that we need to be is like the sun that makes its light to shine upon the just and the unjust. The light isn't going, well, the sun's like, I'm going to shine in this person's house and I'm not going to shine on that lot over there. Or I'm going to shine in this city and not that city. It just shines. And so it is with you. That for fear that somebody might get the grace of your light, for fear in your mind that somebody might get some undue forgiveness because they haven't accepted enough responsibility for ruining your life yet. Because somebody's done something and you're still holding on to that, but in your not loving, you're living in darkness. Free yourself. Free yourself. As we're coming up now, Thanksgiving time, as we're coming up against the holiday seasons, you're going to have a lot of opportunities to put into practice the things that I'm talking about. On the social political front, it's the same kind of stuff. This wholesale demonization of people, the not seeing their humanity and just seeing them as red or blue or terrorist or this religion or that religion or left or right or whatever that categorization is that sends that fear button off in us so that we're no longer feeling connected. The only way out of that is love. I'm not just talking about the emotion. I'm talking about the unifying factor of the universe. That's why we say that God is love. And just as the darkness would dissipate, the darkness cannot stand in the face of the light. You introduce the light and the darkness is going to go. It's the same thing. The fear cannot stand up within the face of the love. You want the fear to go? You introduce the love. Don't spend all of your time analyzing, psychoanalyzing, looking at all the fear and all the fear triggers and where did they come from and how did they get there and how you're going to get rid of them. There's only one way. There's just one way. Introduce the love. It's not bypass. Whatever it is that needs to be fixed will get fixed. Whatever it is that needs to be healed will be healed. But you can't get there out of fear. You can't heal the relationship with your kids, with your parents, with your mates. You can't get there through fear. Some part of you has to begin to love them first. You won't love when you get over the fear. You'll get rid of the fear the more you start to love. And I mean, in just the way that it is. Not when they change or this thing happens or that thing happens, but start moving in the energy and the vibration of unity, of connection, of love. Then all of the other stuff dissipates. It starts to fade. Try this. Try this at home. Try this everywhere. When you find your heart getting hardened, maybe it's something on the news. Could be anything. But it doesn't matter whether it's large or small. It all comes from the same place. Bring in the love. Could be your career. And you're afraid of this thing, that. Start loving your career. Start loving your purpose. Start loving your reason for being. Start loving that. And you'll watch the fear start to dissipate and the doors start to open. Just breathe that in. And we're going to take it to prayer. With every breath, we're opening up wide. With every breath, we're claiming our true divinity as part of the great I am. Transcendent of the stuff of this world, we remember. And we remember to remember. We're not our stuff. We're greater than all of it. Fear, false evidence appearing real. We will not convict ourselves on circumstantial evidence. Oh no, we are free. We are free. We're free to be. We're free to dream. We're free to see. We're free to heal. We're free to know. We're free to grow. We're free to transcend. We're free to forgive. We're free to support. We're free to love. And we exercise that freedom right now Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mother, Father, God. Thank you, Spirit Almighty, the great living creator of all things. Everything is coming out of it, everything goes back into it. We are one with it. We're told to love the Lord our God with all our heart, with all our soul, with all our mind, and to love our neighbors as ourselves. If we stay in the vibration of that love, then all the rest fades away. We dare in this moment. We dare to be disciples of love. And that root word discipline, where you're vigilant, you're steadfast. When you're disciplined, you repeat it, you stick with it. You're not fly by night. We're disciples of love. It doesn't matter all the other stuff that we're doing out there. It's not being done in love. It's just a bunch of chatter. In this moment right now, we love. We love the things that seem to be out of order. We love our body temples, those same bodies that are struggling with illness or injury. We love the health residing in them. We love our relationships. We love the connection, the forgiveness that's just waiting within there to express itself. We love the clarity lurking in the midst of the confusion. We love the rehabilitation, the reconciliation. We love Pachamama. The earth, we hear your cries. No longer do we use and abuse you. We lift you up with practices and a sense of connection that keeps us in awe of your majesty. We love our prosperity and our finances, where the fear of lack and limitation cannot lodge in our consciousness. Oh no. We know that the Spirit of the living God goes before us, providing what we need even before we need it. We dare to claim it. Blessed all over the world with sufficiency, enough everything, peace, shelter, clean air, food, water, companionship, freedom. Oh, yes, we know that it's possible, and no fear can fool us. This is where we live. This is where we stand. We get out of the way. We allow it to be. So it is. Amen. Amen. Let's breathe that in. Breathe it in. We stand with you in this love. Prayer is that attitude adjuster. that helps us rise out of fear into that love. You'll see scrolling across your screen, there are ways to reach our prayer ministry. We have prayer practitioners that are just waiting to support you, all in confidence. No canned messages, just directly for you and the matters that are on your heart. And maybe it's something wonderful and you just want somebody to stand in agreement with you. And we'll pray that too. You'll see that there's ways that you can reach us by telephone. You can give us a call at 831-465-9090 at extension 254. You can send us an email, the number 4 and the word prayer at innerlightministries.com. And one of our prayer practitioners will get back to you. Please, please, you don't have to go it alone. There's no charge for the service. It is a gift. Of course, donations are always appreciated, but this is something that we offer, yes, out of love. Out of love. Particularly during this holiday season. Sometimes a lot of stuff comes up for us. A lot of grief, many people checking out, crossing over to the other side, or the remembrances, or just longings, just all kind of stuff. It's not always a Hallmark moment. Maybe something's breaking through. Maybe you've got second chances or chance to reconnect, whatever that is. Let us help you and support you through that. Take a breath. Take a breath. I invite you to check out our calendar and see the various things that are going on. If you are looking at this in real time, where it's just coming up now at like Thanksgiving time, I want to invite you to join us on First Sundays in person. On Sunday mornings at 10:30 Pacific time, we always have a virtual offering, but we gather together in spiritual community on the first Sunday of the month in Santa Cruz at the Resource Center for Nonviolence from 3 to 5 p.m. Our house band is there. We rock it. We have a really a good time. So if you're around, please check us out. And this coming December, it's going to be Heather Houston and her vocal ensemble, her choir Yala Latte. So we look forward to seeing you there. But check out the calendar to see what's going on. Some things are in person, some things are virtual, some things are in fact both. Take another breath. And I invite you into conscious contribution, that time. And, particularly now during the holiday season, there's a lot more giving than what we usually do in supporting groups and organizations that we love and that are supporting us. And we invite you to put Inner Light Ministries in your gift giving cycle. Give a little extra even during this time period. Coming up, you'll see that there are numerous ways that you can complete that. You can use online donations. You can use the QR code for your mobile devices. You can use Cash App, many different ways. And I want to encourage you to consider the recurring option, which allows for whatever donation that you're making today to be recurring at the same date every month. This is the way that we're able to sustain. We are not a membership organization. We are not part of any larger affiliations. We are an independent spiritual community. So literally, even if this is your very first time, consider yourself part of community. And for those of you who have been tithing, literally for years, I want to say thank you because you, in fact, are the backbone. So whether this is your first time, whether you've been with us for many, many years, no matter the amount, we say thank you for your generosity and making certain that we can get this message out there. We're coming up now soon on winter camp. So if you want to give a little bit extra so that we can help our teenagers to go to winter camp, we appreciate that as well. So we have a little motto. You'll see it at the end of this session together. And our motto is take this consciousness and multiply it. And I really, really mean that. Take this consciousness, come back, like it, share it, go over it again, and dare to use these principles in all areas of your life. All areas of your life. We wish you a happy Thanksgiving, and I invite Jack Fowler to come back and to take us home.
Thank you, Reverend Deborah, for having me today. It's been such a joy to be with you and your global tribe of beautiful souls around the world. I'm so happy to be able to share this music. I hope that it has touched your heart. If you're interested in hearing some of these songs again, you can go to Apple ID. You can download things on iTunes. Not only do I have my songs, but I also have some piano music for meditation. If you would like to support me that way, that would be awesome. If you'd like a physical CD, the best thing to do is just send me an email at jackfowler2@gmail.com. It's Jack Fowler. You got to add on that 2 at gmail.com. So thank you so much. The song I'd like to share was a revelation to me when I first heard it, because when I grew up with my dad as a Pentecostal minister, I had a certain definition of holiness and a certain definition of love. And as Reverend Deb said today, that there is only love. As we learn to see only love in our neighbors and people on Facebook and wherever we may look, we know that love is within every single thing that we see. Love is in the friends that we have. Love is in the people that we may not even care to like. We know that God is there, the presence of God, the presence of love is there, for we know that everyone is holy, and that includes you. Everyone is holy. When I was a boy each week, Sunday we would go to church. We'd listen to my daddy preach. He would read the holy word, consecrate the holy bread. Everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. 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 When I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time that Moses split the sea in two. And Jesus made water wine. And I remember feeling sad that miracles don't happen still. But now I can't keep track, 'cause everything's a miracle. Everything is a miracle. And wine from water is not so small. An even greater miracle is that anything is here at all. So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. This morning outside I stood, saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush, singing like a scripture verse. Made me wanna bow my head. I remember when church let out the day the only difference is everything is holy now. 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 Today the only difference is everything is holy now. Holy now. Blessings.